everyone! I can't believe that this is our last week of student teaching. It really has flown by. The semester seemed to start out very slow with no end in sight, but after the past few weeks I feel like it just started. I wish I could stay with my students another 3 weeks and see them graduate. I just can't believe my time with these amazing kids is already coming to an end. I feel like I've been so ingrained in their schooling and the schools in general that I want to see their last final weeks. For example, my CT and I designed their final project that they've been working on over the course of this whole semester, and I wish I could see those final projects completed. Going into this semester, I was very nervous about having 12th grade students. I had just come from working with 6th graders, so 12th grade seemed like a huge jump. When I first started, I was shocked at how big the 12th graders were, how old they seemed, and how close to my age they actually are. But over the semester, I realized that you would think that 18-year-olds who are about to go to college would be mature enough, but they don't really act like 18-year-olds all the time, and a lot of the times they just act like the sixth graders. But I've really become invested in these kids, and it's so exciting to see where they're going to college next year and what they plan to do with their lives. It's exciting to see them about to embark on their next phase in this journey. They are all ready for prom and getting their caps and gowns, so it's really fun just to see their excitement at the end of the school year. I've been so fortunate to work with this group of seniors this year, and every single student has impacted the way I view teaching. Every single student is important and unique, and they all have amazing ideas. It has been remarkable spending a longer amount of time with these students, seeing them every day, coming up with their lessons, and grading their work. I feel like I understand these students and I learn so much about them. They are truly amazing kids, and I'm going to miss them so much when my student teaching time is up. Something that this semester has taught me the most about is lesson planning. Before this semester, I never made actual lesson plans directed at real students. While I was in an undergrad, I made lessons for an after-school German program at the elementary schools, but that wasn't standards-based. So I ultimately decided on a topic, like colors or animals or sports, and I made up some worksheets, came up with a few games that related to it, and basically devised a way to keep 20 elementary schoolers entertained after school, but I never made lesson plans that were as concrete and extensive as the ones we needed for this program, and never used them on actual students. So I'm surprised at how much they can do. I'm still shocked that when I ask them to do something during a lesson, they typically do it. I rarely get too much pushback, and they all end up doing their work, sometimes with a little help, but usually they do it at the end. I've seen myself grow as a teacher, and I've definitely been able to mold my lessons to fit my students. For example, I teach two sections of second semester government, but at 2 different schools, and the climates of these 2 schools are very different, so I have to adapt these plans to meet what each school will do, and I know what will work and what won't work at each school. So one of my schools has a lot more discussion while going through notes, so it takes longer to do notes, but they need far less time on assignments and can typically do the assignments by themselves. And my other school rarely talks, so we can get through notes super quickly. They never really have any questions about the notes or anything, but they need a lot more assistance on in-class assignments, so then that takes up more time. And at one of my schools, I can give homework knowing that the students will bring it back, and at my other school, I know that if I assign homework, only 2 students will bring it back. It has been a challenge teaching at 2 different schools and commuting between them every day, but it has basically given me double the opportunity than I would have had at just one school. I can see the climate of 2 schools, know the administrations at both schools and the teachers, and I know how the students are different between 2 schools. I went back and read my metaphor from last semester, and I think it still applies to what I believe today. My metaphor from that last semester was: a teacher is an aquarist, a classroom is an aquarium, and students are schools of fish, predators, and prey. This metaphor implies that the teacher or aquarist is in charge of her classroom and students, or an aquarium and fish. Teachers must know how students interact with one another for group work and teams to be successful, just as an aquarist has to know what fish will interact well together. During the first seating chart I made this semester, I put 2 students who had previously dated right next to each other. And like, I had no idea, but the girl freaked out when she got her new seating assignment, and I had no idea that they were exes. But if I was a solid member of the school community, I probably would have known that, especially because it's a really small school. Anyway, these students do not work well together at all and can barely coexist in class. A teacher has to know how the students interact with one another in order to create a positive, effective school environment. This is similar to how an aquarist has to know her fish and what fish can thrive together and which fish would destroy one another. I still believe my metaphor resonates with me today, as does my I believe statement. My I believe statement was, I believe teaching is much more than providing students with knowledge required by the SOLs. Obviously, teaching students key historical occurrences, figures, and issues will be our overarching job, but I believe teaching citizenship is just as important. That was my quote I started off with. I still believe that teaching citizenship is important, and I believe the skills students learn at school, like respect, responsibility, and kindness, are incredibly important and probably more important than knowing that the senators have to be a minimum of 30 years old. School is a place for children to grow into adults, and preparing these students, especially seniors, is an integral part of the process of schooling. I ended my I believe statement with which I still believe today, with teachers need to foster an environment in which students can be creative, respectful, understanding, helpful, trustworthy, committed, and generous. Students should be ready to enter society as functional citizens after leaving my classroom. I am excited to enter my own classroom next year after everything I've learned this year. This has been an amazing experience, and I'm excited for what the future brings. This week, one of my classes learned about globalization, which was great for me as an international studies major. We learned about 3 different countries' governments. They were the UK, Russia, and China, and we compared and contrasted them to each other and to the US. In my other classes, we just started the judicial branch this week, and students created their own court cases to learn how cases go through different appeals courts. Then groups of students researched a particular real court case and designed a poster of it as if it were in a museum. Next week, my first block is going to finish the globalization unit with a project, and second and third will continue with the judicial branch. I'm excited to have more time to work on all of our assignments after student teaching is over, but I'm going to be so sad to leave these amazing students I've had the opportunity to work with over the course of the semester.